Except, you know what? The devil had a plan for every one of you guys, every one of us. He had a plan. God is into frustrating the plans of the devil if we let him. I want to introduce you to Cody Bush. A lot of you know him, but
go, Cody.
Testimony, share the goodness of God over his life and what God's doing. I'm excited for you, Cody. Go ahead and help yourself.
Man, I don't even know where to start really. So I say I had, I don't want to say a normal childhood. I don't know what a normal childhood is, but you know, my parents got divorced at a young age, and I lived with my stepmom, and with my dad and my stepmom. My dad was always working, so we're pretty much out to do whatever he wanted to do. And well, you know, drug addiction, it runs in my family. It runs in my family from my grandma to my mom. You know, like meth runs on my mom's side of the family, and on my dad's side, they all drink. So we kind of, age of 12, I ended up finding myself smoking weed, out, you know, doing whatever I wanted to do. And going on forward from that, my dad and my stepmom ended up getting a divorce around when I was 14. And from that, he ended up getting back with my mom. And my mom wasn't in my life when I was like 5 all the way up to when I was 15. And she was on drugs whenever she got with my dad, so they ended up fighting all the time. He was always drunk, obviously she was always high. Ended up divorcing because I guess he didn't know she was high, and then he found out she was actually high. I don't know, I really don't know. But I ended up going and living with her, and yeah. Saw how bad it really meant to be on drugs. Asked her to quit. She said no, and I guess, you know, that hurt, that pain and that rejection that came in from down and then, I ended up just doing it with her. She showed me how to smoking and all that. And from, I'd say, 15 to 19, I was on dope. I mean, pretty much how to put it. During those years, you know, I went around and Fort Worth and all that, but we moved every few months. She never paid the bill, so I got put in a whole bunch of weird situations out there in Fort Worth. And so I ended up moving back with my dad when I was about 17. And ended up being around, I guess, the wrong people, trying heroin. I ended up dying whenever I was 18 years old. I was dead for 20 minutes. I snorted 2 caps of heroin. I didn't know you're not supposed to lay down to go to sleep. And I lay down, and well, I was pronounced dead for 20 minutes. I mean, I didn't know I was dead. The crazy thing is, whenever I lay down to go to sleep, I thought I was still trying to lay down to go to sleep. It just felt like I was falling in a hole. I was just free falling. And until I came to an ambulance, and I was like, what are y'all doing? I was trying to go to sleep. And they're like, no, you weren't trying to go to sleep, you were dead. And it didn't stop me from continuing to do meth. The more I did meth, that's whenever I started getting into witchcraft and stuff like that. Ended up I was living at the Delta Inn, kind of dabbling in all that, because I felt like it was pretty much the end of the road. I really didn't have nowhere really to go at that point, so I was like trying to sell my soul. I was like, oh, well, these celebrities sell their souls, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be famous. But it ended up to me just, I was up for 14 days being demonically attacked, I'd say. And yeah, I tried to kill myself. And I had warrants out for my arrest, but instead of taking me to jail, they took me to a crisis center because of what I tried to do. And they diagnosed me with like schizophrenia and depression and all this other stuff. And well, I slept a few days. I was like, hey, look, I wasn't crazy. I just need to go to sleep. So they're like, oh, okay, well, you still have these warrants, so you're going to jail. So I went to jail. And as soon as I got out of jail, I went right back to doing dope. I mean, right back doing what I was doing before. So then I saw, I was like, hey, I do have a problem. So I ended up going to a rehab, a 2-year rehab over there in Fort Worth. It was the Cinecor rehab, where a lot of people got stipulated to go, And whenever I went there, there was a whole bunch of witchcraft and stuff going on. And I got even more into it then. I remember a few times we'd go out, say some things, do some like ritual things outside, and I'd feel things. Some stuff would come inside of me, and it would literally, I'd be in the passenger side of my body, and I'm living my life out, not really me doing it. So that's whenever I'd say I started getting into real spiritual things, not just being attacked, but like moving into what a lot of these people will like all out of the Wicca and witchcraft and stuff. But I ended up getting off of meth, but instead of doing meth, I just started turning to drinking and stuff. I ended up meeting my wife. Well, no, me and my wife was doing meth together whenever we met. I guess I really didn't stop doing meth. Me and my wife met each other. We ended up becoming homeless together, staying random places in the Delta Inn. That's whenever I ended up not doing meth. I worked 2 jobs, lived at the Royal Inn for about 7 months until we got our first apartment. I really didn't know Jesus then. I didn't know anything. I was never raised in church, so like my grandpa would try to speak to me about things like that, but I just brushed it off because I thought he sounded like a crazy old man. And turned to years of, we just started drinking and stuff, but drinking turned more into, now I'm popping pills, now I'm doing other things. And I started getting on the dark web, started buying a whole bunch of stuff off the dark web. When we was living in an apartment, and I was selling drugs out of the apartment, and I was working. I ended up taking a whole bunch of bars, and I guess taking my work truck, and I crashed my work truck about 5 times. And somehow I didn't go to jail. I failed the field sobriety test, but they didn't take me to jail. They let my dad come and take the truck and take me back to my house. And I'd say I chilled out for a little bit then. I was in my truck on a job site, and I was just watching like conspiracy theory videos because I didn't have anything to do. Like at my job, all I do is sit there. I just gotta be there a lot of times. I just sit there and I wait for them to finish their work, and then I go test it. So I'm just watching conspiracy theory videos, and like I said before, I knew that these celebrities and stuff, they worship the devil and they did all of this stuff, but I didn't know how much to an extent. So at first it started off like aliens, UFOs and stuff like that, but then it started leaning more towards what's like going behind the scenes in Hollywood and like what type of stuff we're kind of partaking in by like watching these movies or listening to this music and stuff like that. And it started opening my eyes, and then I was like, well, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to go to hell. So then I started getting more. I got a Bible, and I prayed for like the Lord to come into my heart. Well, not really come into my heart, but to, like I told him like I don't want to go to hell. There wasn't a prayer or anything anyone lit or guided me through or anything like that. It was just in my truck. So I read the Bible a lot, but no change really happened in my life. And I'd say for about 2 years, I would actually, I felt something on the inside of whenever I drink, I'd feel wrong. I'd end up drinking, and then I'd end up being like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And then I'm over here drunk talking about Jesus the rest of the night. And everyone's like, hey, we're going to go. So, it'd go, it's like I'd start following God for a couple months, but then I'd go back to drinking. And then I'd start following God for a little bit, but I'd go back to doing what I was doing. And it'd just be a cycle over and over again. And it was about 2 years. And as that happened, stuff started getting worse. Like I'd drink, and then like random people would come to my house and want to fight or something. Like there'd be people I didn't even know. So like bad stuff started happening. well, we ended up moving from that neighborhood, and still drinking, still doing coke, and then like finally, like after a night of drinking and doing coke, I had a dream that me and my wife had bought a house. Like when I finally went to sleep, and it's like we bought a house, and there's like poltergeist type stuff going on, like chairs and stuff are just flying all over the house, and I'm like trying to get all these like demons out of the house, but I couldn't. So like I wake up and I'm like, it's kind of weird. I told my wife, and she was like, yeah, that's pretty weird too. She said, we bought a house. I'm like, yeah, no. But I had to go to work. So I was driving up to Abilene to go pick up some cylinders that I had made. And I was listening to this video, and it was talking about, in the book of Acts, how they was trying to cast a demon out of this one dude, but they couldn't because of their lack of faith and their unbelief. So the dude like beat him up and threw him out. So it like clicked in me in my dream. Like I couldn't, it like clicked in me in my dream, right? Because like I'm like, why can I stop doing this? I'm crying out to God, like, why can I stop? I want to stop. And it like coincided with that video in my dream, like in my brain. It's like my faith, my unbelief. I'm not putting my faith in Him. I'm just trying to do it on my own. So I cried out to God. I was like, look, increase my faith, increase my belief, remove these like idols from my life, remove this stuff from my life. So I go and grab the cylinders, and I'm driving back home. And as soon as I turn down the dirt road, I live down a dirt road. I used to have this vape, like those Views Alto vapes. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I always have it on me. I always had it in my hand, or it was in my pocket. If I didn't have it on me, I was tripping. I was just like, So as soon as I turn down the dirt road, I hear a voice, an audible voice say, throw your vape out the window. And then, I was like, man, I'm tripping, right? Like, I'm like, what the heck? So I was like, I was telling myself, I'm just gonna talk to my wife about it. We're gonna talk about it whenever I get home. And then I hear the voice again say, do you trust me or not? And I threw my vape out the window. And as soon as I threw my vape out the window, I felt my whole body just go light, and I'm filled with this peace. I'm filled with this joy. Because a lot of things that we do, we don't realize why we do it. Like we're all missing something, right? So I was always filled with anxiety, and I was always filled with this like feeling like I'm not, like I don't ever fit in with anything, right? So I'm always drinking, I'm always smoking, I'm always doing something to remove this anxiety or this social anxiety, and He showed me that, and He removed that from me. Not only did He remove that from me, He removed the vaping, the smoking addiction, all at that one time. He removed all this stuff from me, and I was filled with this peace and this joy that I never even knew that would be even possible, because like I wasn't raised in church or anything, so I didn't know exactly what it meant to have a relationship with Jesus. So that happens. I'm like smiling. I'm just cheesing on the whole way home. I'm just looking stupid, right? I'm just in my truck, just like. And my wife, I come inside, and my wife's like, "What's going on? Why are you smiling like that?" I'm like, "I just threw my vape out the window." She's like, "You did what?" I just threw my vape out the window. God told me to throw my vape out the window. I just threw my vape out the window, and it was kind of crazy because we always had this deal like she'd stop smoking weed if I quit vaping, which she knew like I wasn't gonna be able to quit vaping, right? Because I vaped for like the same reason like she smoked weed. So it was like that day He delivered me from this smoking and all this other stuff. My wife coincidentally got delivered from like marijuana and stuff. Like it's like a second-hand thing that happened that she wasn't even expecting or anything like that. So that day that happened, my whole life absolutely changed because, I guess I didn't say beforehand. So I grew up 5 years old. They put me on these medications like Ritalin, ADHD, and all that. So I was like, it gave me this weird anxiety. It made me like a zombie, right? And that became who I was. That was a part of my personality. You know, I was just so like reserved, introverted, just like socially awkward, like, you know, just like didn't talk to anybody. And after that day, it was like a complete 180. I'm talking to everybody, you know? And it was kind of crazy, you know, we wasn't really going to church then, you know? So a few weeks later, I decided, hey, we're gonna like start going to church. And then we started coming here because I grew up in Bellmead, so like really honestly, like this is one of the, I knew of two churches, the one over there by Kate Ross and this one. So we started coming here, and then I guess the more I started reading in His Word, the more He started showing me. I'm like, dude, I mean, everything I'm doing was sin. Like He's like showing me. I'm like, everything I'm doing right now is wrong. You know? So like, even with me and my wife, we'd always just use the excuse like, oh, we got kids together, like we're living together, like we're basically married. You know? Even down to the Lord showed me like, nah, look, like there's a way we're supposed to do it. Like I wasn't actually married, but it was really, we never wanted to get married because we felt like we couldn't, we used to get food stamps and stuff. Like we just basically said I wasn't in the picture, I wasn't in my kids' lives. And that she was a single mom, so she got all the food stamps. We wouldn't ever have to buy food because she got food stamps. And so I felt like we wouldn't be able to afford food if we got married, we'd lose all of this. But the Lord came back and made it to where I think we got more food in our house now than we did then. You know, it's my whole life completely changed. And I really didn't know what it meant, you know, to have a relationship with God before until then. You know? And man, I can't even explain honestly everything that's happened since then because it's been so much. He just completely changed every single aspect of my life, removed every single bit of anxiety, depression, frustration. I'd say almost in an instant. And just filled me with this peace and this joy and this love that I really had never felt before. Because really, like I said, like my dad always worked. And my mom was pretty much on drugs. And obviously, if you really met someone out there on drugs, like they're not really a loving or caring person. They're really caught up on what they're doing. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, you know? And that's about all I got to say about that.
Man, great job. Don't run off. I got